to select the supplier based on price. Right? So if you have a lot of them connected directly with yourself and you make a decision based on price, so you cannot control the qualities. Because for this period you might choose supplier A, but for the next period supplier B might provide the lower cost, so you might select supplier B. So then the quality control is might be might not that good because you have the too many suppliers. Right? And as I mentioned that for the just time, they have the system of the supplier network just like this. They have a tie, like a tier suppliers, right? Second tier, first tier, third tier. So they need just a few first tier supplier connected directly to the buyer. But for that first tier supplier, they also need the supplier on the second tier to connect with them as well. So just like that, we try to promote the supplier to do the just time as well, so that they can have a few suppliers connected with them as well. So with this system, so we're gonna have just a few suppliers, but have a very good relationship with, and in the future they can improve this relationship to be working as a partner. So the concept of the tier supplier is quite different from the traditional supplier network, because we want just few supplier that have close relationship, good relationship with us, right? And then let them to do the supplier just time as well. So then they're gonna have their own suppliers connected directly with them as well. And another thing is that when you talk about preventive maintenance, right? That they said that to make sure that all the equipment and machine have in a good condition and prevents the way that machine can break down when we are using. Another one that help as a activity in the just time is about housekeeping, right? So housekeeping is like the activity that can help the just time as well, because it's how to maintain the workplace well clean and free from unnecessary material. So you may heard about hassle, right, in Thailand, but in English we using 5S. It's the same meaning, right? Just like hassle, right? So strengthen, speed, standardize, and self-discipline, right? Right. You can have it. You can use or not use, and you can cleaning the area, make it the standard, and do it at your self-discipline. It's just like household in Taiwan. So this we call housekeeping, right? That gonna be the activities that help the just time as well. And if we try to comparing between the traditional system and the just time system, this is the key differences factors. You can see inventory for sure that if you apply just time is try to minimum, right? It's how to minimize the inventory. And delivery, we're using the smaller. So we deliver to many deliver but smaller. Lot size smaller, right? Setting up many but short run. Right? And now for the vendor, they're gonna be like a partner, right? But for traditional long-term relationship are unusual. It's because they're selling their supplier based on price. And how about the workers? For the workers, just treat the worker as an asset. Right? But for traditional, it's not just the thing that is necessary to do the work for the worker. And finally, okay, it seems like the just time is a good system, but it requires something as well to transition, right, to use the same time system from the current system. The first one is very important. That would be the top management commitment. Because if you cannot have the commitment from the top management, you cannot apply just time for sure. Because it change a lot of part in your organization, change the attitude, change about the way of work. So get the top management on board and have the commitment to be the first one, right, in order to transit to using the just-time system. The second is design which parts need most effort. So it might be think that okay, which part of the system that have the problem. Right? So you might think to start on that part first, or you can know that okay, why we need to apply the concept of just time in order to reduce the problem. Often support the workers. This is real, right? Because besides getting the top management on board, but the one that operate is the workers. And then you need to support the worker and communicate with the worker and let them to support you, right? To use the just-time system. If you have the miscommunication with the workers, so there might be things that the just-time that if we apply to the organization, it might reduce, right, their job, right? So they might have out of job, something like that. So that is wrong. So we need to communicate, right, and let them to understand why it's important to apply the just-time system. And if you have no idea, right, what we're gonna do, first of all, my starting with the videos of setting up time is probably the easiest way to do, right? Because setting up time is mean that you can reduce about the time to operate, right? It might be the first one to start. And don't forget that this involves both operation and also the attitude of the worker in organization. So the way that we transition from the current system to the just-time system is need time. So it's gradually convert should be the one that we prefer, because they need to change a lot of part of the organization to support the just-time system. And don't forget that, as I mentioned, that good just-time system, you need to convert the supplier to just-time as well. Right? This is the thing that it should be, right? And prepare for the obstacle. So then this is the problem. What is the obstacle? What are the obstacles of transition to just-time system? The first one, right, is about the management is not committed. Right? It's not committed. So they might manage by lips, but just okay, we can do just-time and then let others do. Right? They are not involved. They are not supported at all. So it will not be successful for sure, right? Because you cannot change the system, right, and change the culture, right? And the worker or management may not be cooperative. This is because the problem of communication, as I mentioned, right? Because worker might feel that okay, the just-time should be the one that replaces them, so they might resist, right, using the just-time system. And don't forget that the just-time require the discipline to do change the culture, change the attitude. So people generally they fear to have the change thing from things that they are always doing. So this might have some resistance from the workers. So difficult to change the company culture. This is what I'm saying, right? Because the culture is like the big one in the organization, so it's not easy to work to change it. But on the other hand, the obstacle from outside, not just the inside, this might come from supplier. So the supplier may resist, right? Why the supplier may resist? Right? So remember that we said that the just-time prefer small, and there is like a pull system, that means demand pull. So if you want to produce something, you just send the signal to the supplier and you expect that the supplier will support you. So in this case, the supplier is gonna be the one that need to respond all the order from you, right? So there might be unwilling to commit the resources, because no supplier prefer to deliver too often with the small, right? Because it take a lot of cost of transportation. They might prefer with full truckload, right? With the large lot more than the small. But for doing it with the just-in-time, whenever the company want to do or want to make the production, they need to support it. Right? So they might unwilling to commit or unhappy to do. And long-term commitment is not that easy, right? Because you change, right? As I mentioned, that you change from the takt time from 55 to 50, just 5 seconds. It might change a lot of output from normal level, and sometimes supplier might not sure that they're gonna have the capability to support that increasing output. Right? So it's not easy to commit. Right? And frequent small delivery may be difficult, as I mentioned. So they need to carry a lot of cost. So it's not full truckload. It's just small, just deliver when every time that the company want to make the production. And also the quality control might shift to the supplier, so it's increase another job, right? Because since the just-in-time refer to the flow, rapid flow, very smooth system. So when the material, right, if they believe that it come from the supplier that they trust, so it might be process faster because they might not check not much because they let the quality control is come from the supplier to handle. Right? So in this case, it means that all the response will come to the supplier, so they might not happy because they need to take care of the qualities too much. And if you have the engineering change, right? Engineering change. So change about the engineering means you change about the design, you change about the requirement, you change about the number of parts. This might cause the things change. So suppliers is not happy because they need to make sure that everything is in control, right? Like using the same standard part, using the same component as usual. But when you change the engineering design, it might have additional part or change the part that they usually do and support for you, but they might not happy. So this is like the supplier may resist. And how about just-in-time service? Yes, it's possible. Even though that we mentioned about the just-in-time in the manufacturing or in the production, but based on the overall concept, we also apply the just-in-time service. Right? The concept of eliminate disruption, make the system flexible, reduce the setting up time and lead time, and so on, come to the simplified process. It's all the same concept as manufacturing. So which means that if you want to apply the concept of just-in-time or lean in the service industry, it's okay because it requires the same concept. And just apply. Right? So you need to having it in the context of service. Right? Simplify the process. If you feel that the process is too long, have the waste of the two waiting time, you might eliminate some step and using the customer involved into that process. So they're gonna do it by themselves, help you, right? No need to operate by your own all the process, all this thing. Right? So this is an example of a simplified process, right? And you can using like the technology, using the IT to help, right? For the just-in-time service. That's going to reduce a lot of the waste time or waste of the scrap in the production. And another one that's come from the just-in-time service is about the just-in-time tool. Just-in-time tool. For just-in-time tool, it is referred to the suppliers will be the one that may they try to support and fulfill your shelf from the retail or for the retailer. So in this case, we call the vendor managed inventory or VMI. Right, because the the organization didn't make order directly, but we can have the suppliers gonna investigate the shelf, and they're gonna know that okay, they're gonna fulfill right now is have the level is not that full. We relax just okay 3 set or just dozens, so then they're gonna fill in for you. So they manage for you actually. You have to do nothing, right? So in this case, we see a lot in retail business, right? That the supplier can manage the shelf by fulfill and the product in the shelf for the retailer. We call vendor managed inventory or just in time too. And in conclusion, if I try to list the benefit of the just-time system, okay, once again, the first one is a very popular one that we know this reason. It's about that it's reduce the inventory level. So reduce the inventory level is means you can reduce the inventory cost. So reduce the inventory cost, so it means that you can have more profit. And there is a criticism about the inventory level as well, because actually in ideal, just time try to have the zero inventory, but in the real one is impossible. So people are afraid that okay, they don't have enough, right, of their product to support the demand of the customer when they need. So that's why they still have the safety stock, right, to carry in order to make sure that in some point of the time, if you have the excess demand or if you have demand, you still have the product provided to the customer, right? And okay, back to the benefits. Besides the reduced inventory, we also have the getting higher qualities. This is because the way that you can control things that the way of you have the smaller, you can control better, right? Because it's just smaller, right? And since you not carry much for the inventory, so cost of damage is gonna reduce. So you can expect to have better qualities or high quality. Flexibility, yes, for sure, because we need the process that go fast, right, and very smooth, right, rapid flow. So we still want to have that rapid flow. So they make the system very flexible, right? Have a very flexibility. That's going to be the benefit. Let's think about that. Is have like continuous flow, and you have like using the high-tech technology to carry your material or from place to another place. Those kind of things, right? And you're gonna have the multi-skilled worker who can work in different model. So this is like more flexibility, the benefit of the just-time system. Reduce the time for sure. If you can have the very fast rapid flow, right, of the output, so it's faster. So reduce the lead time. The time between the customer making order and they getting the order. So lead time too long is not a good things to do. But the shorter lead time, the better one, because the customer can getting faster about the product that they want. And increase the productivity because you're getting the better qualities, so you can expect that you can produce more output with the same input. So the ratio can tell that the productivity might be getting better or increase the productivity because you can control better qualities. So that's why you can have the output that's coming out better in the same with the same input. Utilization of the equipment must be increased. This is because we want the automate, right, machine or high-tech technology. Since we need the rapid flow of the system, so the equipment that we're gonna use is gonna be the one that just for that job, just specific for that work. It's not the general purpose. It's very special for that business, for that production. So the utilization is going to getting high because the one is very very fast. So the equipment that you're gonna apply for is going to be the high-tech one, and it's gonna be the one that's suitable for that task only. Okay, you control better qualities, you can expect scraplet and reduce. So that's why you can reduce it about the cost. Lower inventory, so it means that require the space for storage less, right? So reduce the space required. When the relationship is you have the pressure to keep better and better when the relationship, and hopefully in the future is improve to be the partner, right? Because we need their help, right? If you apply the Gen Time, don't forget that they're gonna be everything that support you when you're gonna make the production. And indirect labor reduce. This is because we have multi-skill worker. The worker can have more than one skill. They can working within the different places and within the different knowledge. So why not? Why do we need to hiring additional or indirect labor to do that? Since our labor can have their skill to apply in and work in several places in the organization. So this is the benefits of the Gen Time. In conclusion, right? This is the element of the Gen Time, right? Remember, we want smooth workflow, rapid flow. This is the ultimate goal of the Gen Time. We need to eliminate the waste in order to achieve the supporting goal. Keep to do the Kaizen, continuous improvement. Try to improve gradually and do it every day. Even anything that is not adding the value, right? Just like the lean and Gen Time, we try to spot in the process that looking in the process like which point of which value that they didn't add, so gonna eliminate that activities. Simple system that are easy to manage. It's not complex because complex is slower, it's not fast. Complex you might have the higher inventory. So all the Gen Time need to make it very simple because it's easy to manage. It's more standard. Right? And for the layout, they prefer the product layout in order to minimize the movement of the material. Product layout is just like the layout that's not be the linear. That's just connect together. The material handling might be the conveyor or the other technology that carry it too fast. And quality of the sort, right? Gen Time require doing the right things in the first time. So starting with the first, right, and then carry the good quality for as the output to the next step or the next department. Not just try to detect it and change, but you try to make it best, right, or at the first that you do. How can you get right mistake proving? It's going to help to save, right, and prevents the case that you have something wrong. And normally it might stop the operation, right, for a while, and then your supervision and can come to investigate what happened and then fix it. We need a preventive maintenance, right, because we want to make sure that equipment and the machine are still in a good condition and will not have any breakdown during the production. Good housekeeping has 5S, right, to support, right, for the Just Time. Second time reduction, right? If you have no idea, just reduce the second time reduction. This means you just doing lean or Just Time already. Cross-train employee will find all the skill, and don't forget that Just Time using the concept of pool system or demand pool. Right? This is like the overall concept of the Just Time, right? And we're gonna have like the next chapter is gonna be the inventory management. Is around 2 classes because it's about the calculation chapter. So it's my good that we see the example together, right? So that's why I take these 2 classes. So I don't want to take today's inventory and we skip for 2 weeks and then continue with the inventory again. It's not continue. Okay, so we will start next class for the inventory, right? So we can continue 2 classes for the calculation. And that's it. So I think you might present your case study about the clocks. For the 2 case studies that I give to you today, one is a small one, right? It's just location. It's not that difficult. You just but to comparing the option for the university, right, about the football team. And the second one, right, is about the apply the lean into one organization. The question is might not directly ask you about the lean, but it might involve about the process. But some detail is about the lean. So let's see what is your opinion, right? Just do right, and I will report the questions for the second case study on possible. Okay, let's have the presentation for your case study, please.
Good evening, Ajahn and friends. I know you guys look very tired, so the good news is that our presentation will be short, and hopefully Ajahn can let us go home early. So today for the opening case, of the subject, our group will be presenting about a peculiar looking shoes producing company which revolutionized the industry by their dynamic supply chain model. So Crocs, I'm confident that everyone know about this product and everyone might have used it because this product is very comfy, and the target audience of this company is basically young adults, young kids to old couples. The case is very interesting because the timeline of the article focuses only on between 2002 to 2007, and how just in the 5 to 6 years the company was able to grow exponentially. And it is to be noted that these were the golden years for the company because in the status quo, the company is not performing well financially. And recently in 2018, the company had to shut down its last manufacturing plant in Italy due to the effect of bullwhip, which we studied in the previous class. So where they had errors in forecasting demands, and their inventory was just growing and growing. So today's agenda, we'll be talking about 4 things. Firstly, will be about the company overview, basic background of the company, followed by traditional footwear supply chain, vs the Crocs supply chain, and then thirdly, we'll be talking about how Crocs was able to develop this supply chain. And then finally, we'll be tackling the case study questions. So for the background, the company was founded in 2002 by 3 gentlemen who were sailing in the Caribbean, and one of them had this foam shoe, which he bought with him from Canada. And the speciality of the shoe was that it did not slip on the wet surface, and it was easy to wash, and it was resistant to odor, which means no sticky feet, and because of the ventilation holes. So they thought, like, why not buy the company? Why not? Because the market was there, but because many people were not aware of this product. So they thought of starting a business. And the shoes, so they bought the shoes from Canada and then sold it to sailing enthusiasts in Florida. And immediately the business was quite a success because and because of also word of mouth helped them to expand their business and the customer base. So because even now the doctors were wearing Crocs, and they could feel how comfy the shoes were, and they could tell their patients or other family members like how this shoe is so comfortable. After the success, they wanted to expand their business but had no expertise. So they had no expertise in supply chain and acquiring facilities. So they hired their friend from university. His name was Mr. Ronald Snyder. During that time, he was working for electronics company, which was a contract-based manufacturing firm. Because this is a very vital part for Crocs to be successful, which was in the article given. So he joined in 2004, and he saw the potential in the product. And the following year, he became the CEO. So after being the CEO, the first thing he did was to buy the Canadian manufacturing firm called Fin Project North America and renamed it to Foam Creations. So now they had the intellectual property or the special formula Croslite. He also brought along with him the key executives from the previous companies, from his earlier company, because he was thinking big and he wanted to expand. So as you can see, in 2006, the company went public, and they were about 1 billion market cap. And next year, the company grew by 170%, and the market cap was around 2.7 billion. And they were second in the shoe industry right after Nike.
Okay, so next I will explain the difference between the traditional footwear supply chain and Crocs supply chains. So begin with the traditional footwear supply chain first. Normally the footwear industry, the manufacturer will prepare their products within the January, and then they show to the customer, buyer, retailer, and then at that time during January, the customer will place the order, and then the manufacturer will ship the product to the customer during August. But the thing is that the customer who placed the order must estimate and plan for the customer need in advance, so that in case of the underestimation, if the retailer underestimate the customer needs, it means that they will lose the potential sales. And in other words, if the retailers overestimate the product, overestimate the customer needs, it means that at the end of the day, they need to sell the excess stocks and with the discount price. So next will be the Crocs supply chains. Crocs supply chain is totally different from the traditional one because of the CEO has previous experience from the electronics industry, and as we know that the electronic industry has been changed rapidly, and the manufacturer needs to adapt to serve with the customer needs very fast. So that they used their previous experience, and then they run a new business model with the Crocs footwear company, and then they come out with the totally new supply chains that rapidly respond to customer needs. Okay, so and then the thing that different is that the customer do not need to place the order for the whole lot anymore. They can place the order with a smaller quantities, and then they can look at the market first. If the market go well, they can place the order, and Crocs company will ship the products to the customer within a few weeks. Okay, so the way that Crocs do that, they're developing their supply chains by dividing into three phases. First, starting with phase 1 by taking over the productions. In 2004, Crocs has been by the Fin Project North America and renamed to Foam Creation, as my friends mentioned before. And then by taking over the foam creation, they also own the proprietary resin called Crosslight that have the the license to them, only to them to Crocs. But and also they buy the raw material from the variety of the company, such as in Europe and United States. But the thing is that the raw material that they buy, they need to send to compound in Italy first before sending back to assembly in Canada. And after they finish assembly, they need to send it to Denver, to warehouse in Denver, to store, package, and then ship to the customer. So that they try to globalize their product. They're coming to the place to buy globalized product using contract manufacture. In 2005, Crocs has produced the shoes and tried to add the capacity by using the contract manufacturer in China. After that, they still send the product back to store in warehouse Denver. And also in 2005, this year, Crocs began to sell the product in Asia and in Europe. So they added capacity in Mexico, in Florida, and also in Italy. But the thing is, CEO has realized that the manufacturer in outside the Asians cannot meet the Crocs requirements because the Crocs company has the business model with the fast response to customer need. So that they come up with the phase 3. So that they try to begin the global manufacturer supply chain in-house to prevent the problem as I mentioned before. And by using the phase 3, they try to develop the company on and set up the manufacturers in Mexico, in Italy, and also set up a new one in Brazil, and also looking for the potential size in India. So that they have the manufacturer in variety of countries. If any manufacturer that cannot meet with the Crocs requirements, they will bring back the production and then produce it in-house. And also they do not need to, they're trying to take the control of the compound activity so that they do not need to send the compound to Canada before sending to the manufacturer. Right now they just send the raw material directly to the manufacturer to produce the compound. And also for the warehouse, they're just adding the warehouse to each factory for easier to store and then send to the customers. Sorry, and then we have one more thing for the additional factor that consider and benefits of the Crocs supply chain model, such as the small and large retailers. Small and large retailers have the different business models, like this, the distribution center or the channel that they sell. Crocs start the business with the small retailer first because the large retailers have their own regulations, like the financial penalty. So, and after the Crocs success to market with the small retailer, large retailer has been approaching him and give him the favorable deals. And another thing is the dealing with the explosive growth. It means that Crocs has the spare capacity like the injection mold. That if the customer needs growth, they can produce the products that respond to customer needs. And another tool is the shifting production to the low tariff countries to reduce the cost. And they try to come up with a new and more complicated products instead of cross-lines.
So for the first question, it was about what are the core competencies for Crocs, and we figured out that it is the highly flexible supply chain, the material they use, the well-planned infrastructure, the positive relationship with the retailers, the advertising, and the top management. So first of all, for the flexible supply chain, we already heard that Crocs has a huge advantage, therefore that they don't have to order their shoes in advance. They just can react to the real orders, and because they can manufacture so fast and the supply chain is so good, and therefore they have no problems with varying seasonal orders and can react very fast. And also they are flexible in terms of manufacturing due to they can switch demands between the plants, and also they can switch out the molds, and therefore they have a good supply chain. And next is the material they use. They own the license for the material, and only they can use it. And it's a very special material because it is very lightweight. It is not slippery. You cannot fall on the floor with that. It has no smell, and it's easy to wash, and for them relatively easy to produce. So next one is the well-planned infrastructure. The strategy was like they wanted to go really fast global because they knew they had to create a brand, and they knew they had a good product, but they think if we don't go fast global, other companies will steal our ideas. So they went global very fast, and this was possible due to contract manufacturers. But by the time they switched the system from the contract manufacturers and take control by themselves of the manufacturing process. So also they have a really good relationship with the retailer, obviously to the reason that the retailers can better work with them because they buy the exact amount they really need, and they don't have to estimate the revenue and then order estimated values. And that's why they have a really good relationship. And a large retailer of them, they said that Crocs, you can do more of your brand. You can do like other stuff like t-shirts and accessoires, socks, hats, whatever, because people love your stuff and you have a really good supply chain. So next is the advertising. At the beginning, Crocs wasn't really sure who are our customers, especially, and they went out for events for boating or gardening, and also for sports events or festivals, and a lot of variety in the advertising, and it worked out well. So next. And also, as we mentioned, the top management, we have really experienced managers in the company, also from tech companies, and they were really able to manage the company and organize the supply chain and the manufacturing well. So next question was about the competencies exploration, and there were three different ways of further vertical integration into materials: grow by acquisition or grow by product extension. The first one is about vertical integration into materials. And as we talked about, we can bring the global supply chain in-house and take control of the whole manufacturing process. Therefore, we can also ensure the requirement for flexibility and responsiveness. By this, we can control the growth and handle this explosive growth. Also, we can save the enthusiasm for the products of the customers. Next is the growth by acquisition. From the past, we can see that Crocs was really into acquisitions. They bought a lot of companies for the beginning, the form creation, about the material and all stuff, but also then new materials on new other shoe brands, but also like accessoire brands like Chips in 2006, and they keep we expect that they could continue keeping this up in order to grow. And growth by product extension. So we could introduce new markets to Crocs because not all countries were covered, but there's also potential. But another point is that we continue the research and development. Therefore, we can come up with new shoes like flip-flops and stuff, and therefore Crocs is continuing to spread this selling objects. Also, as the retailer said, bring us more stuff like caps, shirts, socks, hats, and whatever.
Alright, so for question 3, how those alternatives in question who fit into the company's core competencies, or how it could potentially defocus the company from its core competencies, right? So as we mentioned earlier, product line extension can be done through in-house development or acquisition of other companies. But we think that the company should consider to extend their product in a way that still fit its core competencies by featuring their proprietary resin formula cost-like. Because if they develop a product that's use more of traditional material like leather or canvas, then they might lose these core competencies, because the cost-like have the unique characteristic that is kind of their competitive advantage when comparing to their competitors, such as resistant to smell or lightweight or moldable. In terms of vertical integration, we think that the company should also consider before, because previously they have done a lot of vertical integration by taking control of their contextual manufacturer and warehouse in order to have infrastructure and access capacity for growth, right? So if they want to integrate further, then they should have really a need. Otherwise, they might not have to take over every time that opportunity arises. Otherwise, it may be sway it away from its core competencies.
Now we are talking about many words, so let's bring back your attentions to some numbers. Next slide, please. So the question is what should be the way to go to balance between profit margins and inventory level? So the current model is that the company produce at a higher than what it needs to capture some sales, unexpected sales in the future. Next slide. So from the historical data that we can see is that the company increased the profit margin rate in percentage. It's higher and higher in every year, and I think that it could link to the fact that they go for the in-house productions, and we can learn from yesterday. I think most of the cost for this kind of organization is the fixed cost, mainly from the depreciations. So when you produce higher rate, of course, your unit cost of goods sold could be lower. So I think this could be the advantage from the company that they can capture from this model. But however, if you look at the inventory, you produce higher, but you didn't sell more than what you could have. So of course, at the end of the day, you will have a higher level of inventory. And from the historical data, you increase the inventory on hand year by year. And if we pay more attention to the turnover rate, in days, it's increasing every year, meaning that you take more days to sell your product, and compare with the company in the same industry, the turnover day is lower than what you have thought. And of course, higher in inventory can reduce your profit because you have your carrying cost. And of course, those shoes here are fashionable somehow, so it could be obsolete. You have an obsolescence cost, of course, it will reduce your profit. So, next. Of course, you can have a global enterprise planning system you use a system to estimate the product the production, so help you in decision making. So to answer your questions, we think that it could be the way it should go is the balance between having a benefit of the lower unit cost, but also keep the appropriate level of inventory. And I think it should be the way to go, and it could be a challenge for the company to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you can see the case study is quite too long and a lot of complex about the timeline. Okay, that's a good presentation. One thing that's about the last one that you present, yes, you need to trade off. Right? You're getting the lower cost, or you're gonna have the higher inventory cost. But finally, for the case that if you have the material that you're gonna use is actually very low price, so it would be better if even though you have the excess inventory, but you have the possibility to getting the sale. Right, and okay, if you have that excess inventory is not affect much because the cost is quite low. But if your product is not just like this, it's quite the different products that you have the very high cost of goods sold. So if you order more because you want to sell for that demand, but this maybe it's not that good, maybe you prefer to have the stock out because the cost of inventory is very high. Is this depend on it's the good point, but actually it depends on the thing that you use to produce, right? And another thing is about the vertical integration, right? The same way. So yes, percent is good that it might be not value for the company because it's low cost. So you can buy from anywhere. In the future, it's maybe the commodities is just completely priced. So it might not add in the value, but for the acquisition or product extension that you suggest for the product extension, maybe good. That's the case. Thank you. Okay. Good card. Good card. Okay, guys. Thank you. Next week we have no class. Please enjoy your Tuesday. Yeah. But we have two presentation on in the next 2 weeks. By April 9, right before Sengkran. Okay, thank you for your attention today. Good card.
Hãy subscribe cho kênh Ghiền Mì Gõ để không bỏ lỡ